definitive proof that the theory of Sko simply being the queue timing was false.
I'm good.
There would be no natural explanation to
I'm going
explain
for
why he
Cosmos
was only able to
as a
successfully
new
achieve
horse.
it when playing on mouse, or why it just randomly disappears at times. It
I have
was
no
clear
complaint.
that this wasn't skill, it was a bug. It was clear that
Okay.
Sko had cheated, and he had done it without even knowing. Although there were still other things to test, such as why Molten and MM9000 were experiencing similar bugs, staff had enough to conclusively know that Sko was cheating, and they would have to remove the third variant from the list. But unlike almost all other instances of hacking in the past, there was no kind of disdain towards Sko at all. Everyone actually felt bad for Sko, because although it's not truly known, it is almost certain that Sko had no idea about this bug at all. He had been progressing far beyond anyone else, reaching a point that pushed the limits of the game and what humans could achieve, to the point where he himself thought he was simply a savant for it. But in the end, it was just this single bug that had been making every single one of his achievements easier for him. Because yes, every single major achievement he accomplished utilized this bug. It was even hinted at from the very beginning. Remember how he couldn't complete Final Destination no matter how hard he tried? That's because it wasn't aligned to 60 FPS. The version he created had the spikes specifically moved to work with a 60 FPS alignment. Even other levels he played, such as Lobotomy, happened to align on 60 FPS. When Septagon made that comment years before the verification of TTV, he unknowingly foreshadowed what is possibly the most mysterious hacking scandal the game has ever seen. When Molten was brought into a Discord call and asked to play the same levels to test, he experienced the same 60 FPS alignment bug that Sko had. But again, this would only happen when Molten was watching a screen share. It also seemed to act slightly different for him as well. It was more consistent at maintaining the same alignment than it was with Sko, and sometimes took a few clicks before locking into the alignment. And for MM9000, although it took longer to figure out, the cause was found to be his recording software, OBS. The bug would only be active for him when he was recording with OBS, and when the program itself was not minimized. Similarly to Molten, when not recording with OBS, MM9000 was extremely inconsistent at the level. Sadly for all three players, their records could never be viewed as legitimate due to utilizing this bug. It would obviously be way too much of an advantage to be allowed. Blanket Addict wanted to try and understand the true cause of the bug itself for all players before making the info public. This was highly understandable, as simply saying that these players were experiencing a bug, and thus cheating, would come off as quite vague.
I gotta turn it down.
Monstrous task. Even
The game
though
of
they
clicks.
had created ways to detect when a player was experiencing the bug, and even though multiple causes had been found, nothing had truly served as a way to explain why the bug existed in the first place. It's very rare that anyone experiences the bug when using OBS to watch the screen share, and even then, those seem to always have the bug no matter what. So just why? In their efforts to determine what causes the bug to happen, the Blanket Exploration found quite a few new firsts. They managed to find some users who experienced the same bug under similar conditions, but this still didn't apply to everyone. The bug only happened when the players were playing full screen. The bug was affecting only. The bug isn't caused by the map itself, and can happen to seemingly anyone else. And possibly most interesting is that it seems to only occur within giant slots specifically. They had some players run a program to detect the time event switch under circumstances that the bug would normally be active, but results showed that they didn't experience it there. It was only when playing GD that it occurred, and even at the time, when they had way more knowledge about the bug than before. Some of the information on when the bug occurred for players like Go was so absurd that it kept throwing Blanket and others for a loop. But unfortunately, despite their best efforts to pinpoint the exact reason for why the bug occurs, it was never found. If you think you may have an idea to why it happens, feel free to say in the comments. But to this very day, the mystery behind the bug which led to the false verification of the hardest level ever created still remains. Other root cause of the main message have been done when further investigations into why the bug occurred. The current listing removed the third variant from the list, bringing DFG back up to the number one spot. And after all this time, BSC still remains at the very top to this day. TGV, the only opportunity for the new top 1, just became another hacked verification. The announcement saying that TGV was removed was coupled with a document explaining the bug that allowed scoring numbers to progress far easier than others, which we have already covered. It's almost 100% certain that Sco did not mean to hack it intentionally, which is very important considering the fact that such an occurrence had almost never been seen before. Numbers were understandably
Yeah, this is the thing.
The people who didn't know about the mystery were simply surprised at the fact the hardest challenge in the game. And for the people who did know, perhaps it wasn't even that important to them. They had personally witnessed what is possibly the biggest hacking scandal, the most mysterious bug, and the saddest case of accidental cheating ever seen. In the end, the important part of all this was never about the weapon in the first place. It was the mystery surrounding it. Thank you for watching.
I guess I'm just at that waistband right there. I think that's the one. That's the one. Oh god.
I have to solve the mystery behind Geometry Dash's greatest rivalry. The battle, which ended several years ago when the top competitor Cycle confessed to finding all of the puzzles. His biggest rival, Riot, was shocked. No, it cannot be real. I bet Houdini was a hacker the whole time. Everyone was astonished, left with more questions than answers. As Cycle betrayed everyone, who's truly the best Geometry Dash player? Over the years, these questions were seemingly answered, and millions have been full of legends, all of them the same